Hello, friend. I know you've asked this question before. Can I afford to retire in Panama based on my Social Security or my pension? Let's have this chat today. If you are considering retiring abroad, one of the most important decision factor question you should entertain is the cost of living. I do get questions all the time from subscribers or whomever. I am going to get this much money per month. Can I retire in Panama? Well, today I'm going to share with you what my budget looks like. And then we're going to find out, you're going to find out, can you retire in Panama based on your income? And I will share my expenses with you towards the end. So you want to stick around for that part because this is as real as it gets. So before we go any further, my name is Maggie Lazar. I'm a retired nurse practitioner. I've been retired here full time in the beautiful country of Panama since January 2023, coming up on my anniversary. So proud of that. So thankful to be here living this wonderful life in this beautiful, beautiful country. And I'm also the creator of SWRA, Single Women Retiring Abroad, a group of sassy older ladies who have made the conscious decision to retire here in Panama, create community, building sisterhood as we reinvent ourselves. If any of this sounds of interest to you, I invite you to like the video, share it with your friends and family and whomever, and subscribe to the channel. I post a video every Friday, but in between, I post a lot of things about Panama and a little bit about my travel, even though I don't think people are interested in my travels. They just want to know what's happening here in Panama, and I'm happy to share. So, the big question. I expect my Social Security to be all it is, $1,500 a month. Can I retire in Panama? And I remember a subscriber had asked me that question, and I said, yes, you could. You may not be able to do it in the city itself, but you could. And her response was, oh, thank you. I was hoping to be in the city. And again, I do not want to be perceived as the doom and gloom person. Is there any glare here? Should I take my glasses off? I don't want to be the doom and gloom person here, but I've been here 2 years. I live a very, very simple life, and I know what my budget is. If my budget was $1,500, I would be living in the interior. I could not live in the city. So, and I said that in my last video, you cannot expect a Cadillac lifestyle on a beer budget. This is again part of the switching your mindset, adopting a minimalist lifestyle and a minimalist way of thinking. Because in our later years, chances are you're going to have more limited funds, right? And you may not have the opportunity to make more money, like you used to in your younger years, because ageism is a big thing. Some people are really lucky. I know several older ladies who are here saying, I'm still working, which is great. But I wouldn't want to be working because I'm forced to financially. I would want to be working because it's something I enjoy doing. This is the season for us to do what feels good, what makes us feel good. Either we want to give back, or if it's something that we're so passionate about, we just hate to let it go. All right. As you're considering where to retire, in addition to saying the geography, I talked about that, the quality of life, availability and quality of medical services, the food, the weather, all those items are important. But mostly The money. You need to know, can I afford to live there? And I personally believe that if you are retired, we shouldn't be nickel and diming ourselves. We shouldn't be watching the pennies. It's not comfortable. We need to live a lifestyle where we could say, oh, yeah, we can go to dinner. And I'm saying, oh, if I go to dinner, will I be able to pay my electric bill? Oh, no, sis. No, 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 no. And that's why I talk about doing the self-assessment. Self-assessment meaning, this is Maggie. Maybe I was making six figures in those days, but now I'm not. I have this much money. How can I craft? That's one of my newer words. How can I craft a lifestyle for me where I'm going to be comfortable, enjoying myself, and making my retirement the best yet? And that does not mean, going to, like I said, we're reinventing ourselves, trying to look at other ways to make money for travel or whatever our passions might be at this stage in life. But from the get-go, you cannot be you should not, this is my personal feeling, you should not put yourself in a situation, move somewhere because everybody's moving there, or because you read this article that Panama is the best place to retire in 2025. But I don't think they ask you personally, were you one of the subject they interviewed to ask you, do you think you could retire in Panama comfortably? So don't get caught up in the hoopla. Just because everybody is retiring there doesn't mean that's where you should. If you can, great. But if the numbers don't match, if the numbers don't work, you have options, you have other options. And it is also part of the open-mindedness. It's also the paradigm shift of adopting a minimalist lifestyle. This is what I talked about in my last video, where I talk about death and dying, but the principle meaning you need to start divesting yourself of stuff. When you become an empty nester, ideally, but if not, start now. Start getting rid of things that don't attach themselves, stick themselves to you, that, oh my God, if I don't have that painting to look at every day, I'm going to be miserable. Or if I don't have my Le Creuset, cooking utensils, I can't cook. Flexibility, sis, of mind. Oh yeah, that's beautiful, but it's time for me to let it go. When I moved to Panama, I had my pretty loving dog. And I know, please don't come at me and say I'm heartless or whatever. But I knew in my mind that I wanted the flexibility to just get up and go. And I knew it would be difficult for me if I had a pet. So I found her a loving home. No, I didn't take her to the pond. No, I did not. I did not. I found her a loving home, and the story of how I found Lulu a home is crazy. It was divine intervention. I bumped into this lady at a place. She fell in love with the dog, and we started talking, and within hours, she had adopted Lulu. I mean, it was hard emotionally. And this is also part of the growing up, of moving into a different sphere, a different we call that étape in French, a different area of your life where you had to make some tough decisions, right? Like decisions that older people make about, well, I can take care of myself. I will move into assisted living. That is not an easy decision. But we've been making tough decisions all our life. Retirement type decision should not be any different. So sis, going back to the topic, cost of living should be at the top of your list of items that you're considering when you choosing your ideal place to live. And I think that's why some people, if you don't take the time to, again, my word, being cold-blooded, objective, taking the emotions out of making that decision, a lot of people end up going back. Things didn't work out because you did not think it through, or you got caught up in the wave of emotions, whether it's politically related or familiar or just the environment that you're in, the Facebook posts that you read, the group that you're part of. Everybody's doing it, therefore I'm moving along too. It's it's funny to see that right now. I see some creators starting to say, well, we don't want you to rush to make the move to wherever, Panama, Mexico, wherever. And I'm saying, okay, but 2 months ago, you were telling them, get your passport, get out, we get out. And I'm thinking, not everybody can do it like that. And my left brain is saying, I need more data. I need more information before I make a decision like that. I started coming to Panama in 2019. I was doing research, due diligence. I didn't get here till 4 years later. So telling someone to hurry up and get out like there was a fire is disingenuous. It's not the right advice to give people. So I'm really happy to see people circling back and saying, hold up, take a breath, assess your situation, see if it makes sense. And the money makes senses. Okay, let's get going, because otherwise I'm probably going to be accused of rambling again. But I don't have a list of items, so we're just going to go through and consider what you need to take into consideration when you are trying to decide, can I make it work in Panama? Your biggest expense is going to be your rent. And I'm going to show you maybe over here what different types of housing could be. Now, other creators in this area here of Panama are doing a lot of videos about real estate, building here, building that. Aisha also has been doing a lot of those. So I will put her link in the description. You can check her channel. She takes you inside some of the apartments and the high rises that are very popular with expats, right? And I think sometimes when people come in those relocation tours, you come from one area and then all of a sudden you're in all this greenery, vegetation, the ocean view, and they're showing you all the beauty and you fall in love, you're salivating, and you're ready to sign that lease right there. Did you check to see if your budget can support it? Is it furnished? What will you be responsible for? This is called due diligences. So do not fall prey to emotional buying or even leasing. Panama has anything that you would want, whether you want the beach, the mountain, the city, or a little bit outside the city. I think the last video Aisha did was about a community that is about 30 to 45 minutes out of here. But, you have homes that kind of look like what you left. Personally, I don't want to live in a subdivision where it feels like it's the same thing that I'm having here that I had at home. That is my choice. I don't want that. And because I just focus on the single older women, I think we as a group have a different set of values and items and things that we should consider when we look at housing. Safety should be very important to you, even before amenities. Safety is important. Now, Panama is not crime-free. Understand that. And your safety, your personal safety, is your own responsibility. I got robbed because I was careless. Now, it could be that I would have gotten robbed at gunpoint or something that's beyond my control. But the things that you can control, you should, as a single female. Last year, when I was traveling throughout the country, I went to the area called Cerro Punta in Chiriquí. That place is like, it was like heaven. At the foothills of the Volcan Baru and the mountains and the mist. And I mean, I was in love. And I think I was with a lady that was traveling with me, Sonia, and I said, I'm moving here. I'm moving here. And I remember talking to one of the ladies in one of those little places. I was buying some sandals, and I'm like, I'm a nurse. I would love to help with the indigenous. She's like, oh, yeah, we could use it. You need to come. So I was caught up in the emotion of the greenery, of cheap housing, of fresh fruit, vegetables. They had strawberries. I was like, oh boy, this is it. This is it for me. But when I came home, I started thinking, driving, accommodations, probably not going to be what I'm used to or what I want, because most of the homes there are like Panamanian style homes, smaller rooms, no open concept. And then I started thinking, I'm going to be a single woman living in a house by myself among a bunch of strangers, with no access to just escape in a car if I need to. I would depend on public transportation, which, because I took a bus to get there, it's not what I'm thinking of in terms of access. And then because of 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm like, scratch that. That is not practical. You got to be practical, sis. So if you have a $1,500 budget, you can't even consider renting an apartment for $1,000 because the $500 you have left is not enough to cover everything else we're going to cover right now. Now, remember, in the US, they tell you if you're getting a mortgage, it shouldn't be more than 30% of your income, including taxes and insurance and maintenance and all that. I think you should consider that. It's a nice point of reference. So let's say you find an apartment about $800, right? I'm not saying you can't find it here in Panama City, but is it going to be in a desirable area? Is it going to be walkable? Is it going to be safe? Are you going to be in the building or in a private home? Private home, you don't have security. We have all these high rises with 24-hour security. That's what I want. And as a single woman, I think that's what you should want. Now, we have a couple of ladies who are living, more than two, who are living in apartment hotels where they do have people around and they do have support services. Maybe that's what you want. You don't want to have to worry about housekeeping. And then the safety part is taken care of for you because there are people around checking on you. That's an option. But I don't know how much they cost, but I'm thinking it's not going to be that cheap as about $850 a month. Maybe, maybe not. You might want to look into it. So make sure when you're considering housing that it is affordable and that it is safe, that it is walkable, accessible. All these things are important, should be important to an older person. Now, if you can't find something in the city that you like, that flexibility again comes in. Should you consider a town in the interior? There are people living in those places, and there are some seniors living in those places. So what you want to do, you want to get on these Facebook for areas like Las Tablas, Chitre, Pedasí, Chiriquí, Boquete. I don't know about Bocas del Toro, but Boquete, outside of Boquete. Like today, I saw a home advertised for $250 a month in an area outside of Boquete, but it was bare. So you would have to retrofit it with furniture and all that. That's more cost. Do the math, sis. Don't fool yourself. Don't ignore the obvious and be flexible. If you love Panama, maybe you start in one place for a year and then you might move to another place. Maybe after a year where you've lived comfortably and you had an apartment that cost $700 a month, and a lot of times in the interior, the owner would pick up the cable and the electric, right? So, and I think Gorgona and all those places towards the beach, Coronado, I don't know what the prices are over there because I live in the city. So whatever I'm telling you is based on my experience. I am not a real estate person. I am not an expert in anything. All I'm doing is sharing with you what I know. All right. So your rent is important. So if you're not living in the interior and you don't have a landlord that's going to pick up your electric and your cable, in the city, typically, the only thing included in your rent is your water. But I did get a lady the other day, one of the newer ladies, she said her price is all inclusive. So, which means that you can what's the word negotiate. You can negotiate with the owner. Now, we know that when it is the busy season starting now in December all the way to May, the landlord, the owners may not be as flexible because they know the numbers are going to be there and they may have more people coming in wanting to rent. So they may not be as flexible. So if you come in during the rainy season, like July up to like December, they may be a little bit more flexible with the rent and what they're willing to pick up and include. Okay. All right. The other thing you need to take into consideration with your rent, if you don't have a deal like that, and it's not a guarantee, is your utilities. Utilities in the city can be expensive. And I tell people, if you are hot-blooded and you like to have AC running all the time, you're going to pay for it. I am not like that because I don't like to be cold. I don't enjoy being hot that much, but I can tolerate a little bit of heat. So I only run my unit if I'm in the room. I don't need the whole apartment to be cool. Where I am, where I'm working, I want to be comfortable. So, and then you have room units, single units in the room, even though I do have a central unit here. But if you are conscious about managing the electric, then it's become manageable for you. So I would say it runs most people between $100, $150 a month. Mine has been running about $100 with the 25% will be at a discount. If you have your cedula, when you rent your apartment, a lot of times the owners will say, well, I'll keep it in my name because it's just a pain to go to the place and change it over and all that. But when they do that, you don't get the discount. All right. So if you say, no, it's okay, thank you so much, especially if it's a year's lease, I'd like to go to Nature G, which is the name of the company that manages the electricity here, and you go in there, take your cedula, your ID, and then they would give you a 25% off. So that helps. I had a problem with my central unit here. It was down, and I was down to just the individual units in my room. And because, I only have the 2-bedroom, which I only use 1 bedroom. So the one in the other room is never on. And I was only going by that 1 unit, except when I'm cooking, I turn on both. So my bill had dropped down to like $45, $50 a month. I was like, I'll take it. That was so good. So now he fixed the central and I'm using it now. And I'm like, okay, not for long. So if you are the mindset that, I'm hot-blooded, I want to be comfortable, and I want the AC to run all the time, sis, it's you. I'm just saying. All right. The other thing you want to consider is your cable and Wi-Fi, okay? They have different companies here. The most common or known one is Tigo. Tigo does my cable. I have a basic cable plan. I don't have all the other stations that we had in the US. People talk about, I know Jackie in Boquete has programs about how to hook up this and that to get all the programs in the US. I am not interested because I'm not a TV person. I watch the news. What else do I watch? I watch a couple of novelas in Spanish. And once in a while, I watch CNN, no Fox News. And I do watch sometime because I have to know what they're saying, even though it lasts maybe a minute. But I don't need all the channels. So I have the basic plan. But if you are a sports enthusiast and you want to have access to all these, again, you can't have a Cadillac lifestyle on a beer budget. If you want all these amenities, they're going to cost you. And because I'm adopting a minimalist lifestyle, if I want to watch a movie once in a while, I'll use YouTube and it's free. So I don't need a lot. So that runs me about $48 a month for my cable. Now, my mobile service for my Panama phone is about 20. I think it just went to $30 because they had a promotion of something. So it's like $30 a month. And I heard someone say you could get it for $10. I don't know. I haven't found that deal yet. Some people have the plan from the US to T-Mobile and they still keep it here because we mostly use WhatsApp for anything. But there's a big but. If you're going to do any kind of service, the bank, your cable, they want a local number. So either you have a dual SIM in your phone from home where you can put the SIM card from the US and then the SIM card for here, and then you can have both numbers, which you're going to need. But please keep your US number because for banking, it's a nightmare if you don't have your US number. I experienced that anyway. I don't want to go into it, but keep it. Okay. So cable, about $50. Cell phone, about $30 for me, could be $20 for you. Or if you go to Tigo, you could do a bundle. They'll do your cable, your Wi-Fi, and they'll do your cell phone. Now, I don't have that number, how much it costs, because I don't have that plan. All right. And someone asked me, why do you have Tigo for your internet and T-Mobile for your cell phone? I say, I don't know. That's just the way it happened. And apparently there's another company, one of the sisters recommended Winjet, that does the internet. I don't know. But apparently that's the latest. Is it, what's what they call it with Elon Musk, the thing they do with the internet. But anyway, apparently there is another, I haven't, looked into it, but if you ask around, people will tell you. All right. Now, what's the other biggest expense? Food. Are you a foodie? Are you on a restricted diet? Do you like brands from the US? You have to have your Kellogg's, whatever in the morning. It's going to cost you. You've heard that before. If you want to save money, you're going to have to switch to the local brands, and they're not that bad. We do have some struggle with things like grits. I know I had to bring it up. But otherwise, flexibility. I need to put that up here on the screen. Be flexible. Don't get stuck saying, I need this brand. I need this cheese. You're going to pay for it. Now, I am not a foodie. I try to eat healthy. I've stopped eating meat pretty much, even though I eat fish sometimes. And chicken, I can tolerate too much nowadays, but no, beef. I had beef in Peru, so I had to kind of detox a little bit. So if you are a meat person, I'm thinking it might cost you $35 a month in terms of meat. And the one thing about Panama is that you're not going to go to one place and find everything. You have to go here for that, there for this, there for this. You're retired. Get your exercise. You get your steps. Because there's no super Walmart here for you to go find all your stuff, okay? And I think when you first get to Panama, you need to budget for like your getting settled type of uh, uh, budget item, line item, right? So say, okay, let me give myself $1,000, right, to just get myself situated. Because sis, listen, I didn't talk about that in your rental. If you're trying to keep your money under wrap, you're trying to control it, you want to rent your apartment furnished because all the heavy duty stuff will be here. The bed, the sofa, dining room table, most of the time they're there. They may not be to your liking, but to get started, it's safe to just stick to what you have. And as you visit apartment, it's not just looking at the windows and everything. Look at the quality of the furniture. If it's really raggedy, don't rent it. You have options, okay? And that's why I tell people don't rush. You see something, you like this feature in the apartment, you're like, oh, it's like, wait, why don't we go see the other one? You may find something else that you like. This is so sensible. I don't understand why it's such a difficult concept for people to realize. You don't want to make decisions based on emotions or first look. Because if you go back and look, you may find some things that you had missed. Okay, so food. There are a lot of acceptable local brands. You do have the stores like Reba Smith, where if you're a preppy expat and you only like certain things, there is a chance you might find them there, and also at Foodies. But I shop at El Rey because to me it's like a middle of the road type of outfit. But I never find every little thing there. I love to go to Merca to get vegetables. But again, they become perishable quicker. So I can't buy a lot because I can't carry all of it, right? So I go there maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. And outside of my metro or Cinco de Mayo, I can find a pineapple, a papaya. I don't need a whole lot. I don't eat a whole lot anymore. So for me, because I don't eat meat and I try to eat healthy, I think I budget about $75 a month or $300, $75 a week, I'm sorry, or $300 a month. But that's very generous for me because if I don't go to the store except for every couple of weeks, and when I go, the highest I've paid, it would be $80 to $90. So I'm within my budget. I like to budget a little higher so that I have some wiggle room. Okay. But if you're going to eat meat, and if it's not just you and you have a mate, it's probably going to cost you about $400 a month in food. And that's not even counting going out to eat. That's coming. You wait. Okay. Are you still enjoying this talk? I am hoping to I'm dropping some gems for you just to make sure you understand how important it is to be cold-blooded and objective about what you can afford here in these Panama streets, okay? All right. The other thing to think about is transportation. Will you have a car? I don't have a car. My best way to travel is the metro, but it's not everywhere, so I need to know the route. The second time is the bus. This is my least favorite because it's usually crowded and not on time. You know, last year when I first got here, I thought so highly of this bus system here. Not anymore. It's not that good now. It's so crowded, people rubbing against you, breathing on you, so you got to be careful. So the metro for me, even though if I'm riding during rush hour, I'll put a mask on. I don't care if anybody's coughing or not, just to protect myself. I had COVID, you guys know that, so I have to be more careful. So when I load my card, my little card, you buy it for $2 and then you charge it each time. And every time you swipe it or you scan it, it tells you how much money you have left, so you're not left stranded. Even though somebody would let you in if your card goes beep, like it did for me once. I was so embarrassed. So if I load it for $20, it lasts me for the whole month because how much do I travel? Even though I'm in the streets almost every day, but it doesn't cost that much. 35 cents for the metro, the subway, 25 cents per trip for the bus. I think I can afford that. You can too. This is funny. A lady goes like, okay. And then Uber. Uber is the ultimate mode of transportation for most of us retirees. So depending on how much you're gonna be, in the streets, going to the doctor, going to the grocery store, going to the mall, um, going to dinner, going to events. For me, I am so boring. I don't go out a lot. I don't relish spending money at restaurants. So I budget for moi, maybe once a week, and I don't even do that. And when I do, it's like a fonda, which is about, with everything, drink and stuff, might be $10. If I go to a restaurant, like there's a restaurant I'm looking at, that one of the restaurants that won the award, and it says it's the average is $85 per person for dinner. Well, you know I'm not gonna go to that place because I just don't relish paying that much money for dinner. That is not me. I'm a cook. I like to cook my own food. Thank you very much. Once in a while, I will go with a friend or with the ladies. We'll go somewhere, and maybe once in a while, maybe $25, $30 max. And then plus your tip. And please tip the servers your 10%. Most of us do 15, but 10 is the standard. So I budget about $100 a month, but that's for me. If you like to go to Daiquiri 23 and you like to go to, some of the ladies be popping, they go to places. And you know what? I am not criticizing anybody. If you're, oh, there's come the ambulance again. If your idea of retirement is to, I have a list of like 70 some restaurants I need to visit. I've been to only a few because, again, I got to mind my money, my budget. I'm not going to blow my budget and listen to the lady saying, oh, we're going to Emotions Theater today. Oh, next week we're going to go over here. Like year-end parties, New Year's parties. I saw one for $200 per person. Now, I'm not going because I can't afford to do that. Not only that, it's just not my jam. It's not my thing. So $100 for entertainment, for me, that's very generous. For you, might be $200, right? Travel, I don't include travel in my budget because it is, I don't want to say sporadic, but that's usually a big budget item. So this is something that I put on the side to say, okay, I'm going to have a couple of trips this year, and then I put money aside for that. But it's not on my running monthly budget. I hope you understand that. I'm sorry about we live close to a hospital here. Okay. So no line item for travel in my budget. And then the other one I have is medical. This is something I've decided to add to my budget this year, just because, and I'll do another video just about the medical because it's always so convoluted and complicated. I recently, oh my God, what is happening? It's the second time the ambulance has come around. I switched from my regular Medicare to a Medicare Advantage plan. I don't know if I'm still going to have to pay the Part B, but for regular medical screening, my teeth, if I go to my eye doctor, if I get my ears checked, if I, go to the urgent care for whatever, we want to have money in addition to our credit card to say we want to be able to pay for that, because my Medicare Advantage only covers emergencies, something unexpected, okay? And, there are other options to sign up for a plan. I'm 66. Most of the Panama plans will not cover me because I'm over age. There is the plan from Hospital Santa Fe, but it's limited to Panama City and only at that hospital. There was another plan, it was only at San Fernando. They make it so controlled and hospital specific that you almost forced to pay out of pocket or go to the public hospitals. That is also an option. Remember, don't be bougie. And of course, you should have a miscellaneous line that says, in the event there's emergency. We, as the ladies, we talk about having an emergency plan, and that involves having some money set aside, that if something happens, you're not scrambling. Okay. So what did you think? Did I leave anything out? Oh, what about shopping? Oh, I did not say that. What would you want to call it? Yeah, we could say shopping. It could be for clothes. It could be for the house. Now, remember, when you first move, you putting like a line that says, I'm going to have $1,000. Like I had to buy a dining room set. I think mine cost me about $700, but maybe you want to buy towels. Maybe you want to buy new sheets. Some people bring theirs. Pots and pans for the kitchen. You know, I used to be in that mall almost every day buying a few gadgets here and there, but it wasn't pricey because I'm still very conservative in how I spend my money, right? And remember that paradigm shift, adopting the minimalist lifestyle. I think it's helpful. I'm not telling you what to do. You know, I always say that. But I think it pays for you to say, I need to have as little as possible to live comfortably, because I want to be able to get up and go. I don't want to be tied down, and I don't want to feel like I want to recreate what I had at home. Oh, I need this vase here. Oh, I need this item for the kitchen. I make do. I adjust. Don't fill your life with all the stuff you just got rid of. Makes no sense to me. No. All right. So let me tell you, with this budget that I just went over with you, for me, housing being about $1,500, food $300, electric $100, even though it might be less, but I want to always give myself room to go down a little bit. So I always budget a little bit higher. Cable Wi-Fi $50. Cell phone $30, transportation I said $75. But if you are one of those ladies who's using Uber for everything, your budget should be higher, okay? And you need to sign up for the Uber something, which is like a plan for people who use Uber a lot, and you get some perks. So consider that. Entertainment for me was $100 a month. For you, it could be $200-300, depending on how social you go into salsa dance, you go into all those events. Nothing wrong with that. Just make sure you can pay for it. Medical, I'm saying about $200, which I think it's fair. And then a miscellaneous $200. The one thing we didn't add was shopping. So I'm putting about, let's say $100, because things are pretty affordable. And unless you're going to be looking for sequins and expensive shoes and bags, you should be okay. But remember, Maggie is very average. I'm not calling you average, but I'm very average. And I'm okay being average, okay? So my, it was about $25.50, but to add another $100 would be $26.50 per month. So sis, if you only get $1,500, how are you going to manage? And if you insist on being in the city, and I've heard people say, oh, sometimes you just don't see someone, they disappear off because maybe they ran out of money and they couldn't afford it. I know I hear those stories a lot in Africa. People saying, oh, we thought, there was a young couple, they were just talking about some horrendous stories where, they had expected a job or something over here and it didn't pan out. And being out of money in a strange country is not something to be played with, right? And first of all, you don't want to be in a position to to be asking people all the time. That's why you should be doing your due diligence to see if you should move abroad, because again, it sounds sexy. I was talking to another sister the other day. People talk about this co-living thing. I mean, it sounds reasonable. It sounds like a great plan, but in practice, it may not work so well when you have people with different personalities living in a small space. You start getting on each other's nerves. You start having a little attitude and you lose your sense of peace. It is not as, la, 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 the sound, no. Now, knowing me, I know I couldn't do it. Not yet. Maybe later on when I get disabled or something, God forbid, and I can't do anything for myself, I'm going to be forced. But at what cost? My mindset would be, my whole attitude would be different. So please, please, please look at your budget. Yes, you can come to Panama, but look at all the expenses. I'm going to attach this, not the budget with the numbers, but the framework for you to plot your numbers in. And what I want to do, I'm also putting in the comment, Encuentra 24. That's where you can find to see a bunch of different apartments. But those of us who live here, somebody would say, oh, I saw an apartment in Tumba Muerto for like $750. And then somebody would say, oh, it's a horrible area, stay away. So everything you're thinking of doing in terms of housing, I would encourage you to mention it in your Facebook group, because people are very generous to give you advice. So if you don't want the advice, don't ask the question. But if you say, oh, I'm considering an apartment in that area, can anybody give me some feedback? Trust me, you'll get plenty of feedback. And unless you're talking about these areas that most of us are familiar with, Balboa, El Congrejo, Paitilla, Punta Pacifica, Costa del Este, they're going to say stay away, because as a single older female, your decision should be made with safety in mind. Wherever you're looking at, are you comfortable walking down the street to the store to get your food for the week? Is there a little farmer's market close where you can go get your fruits and vegetables? Do you have a metro station next to you where you can find some of that stuff? Can you take a Uber ride, where you are? Or are the Uber saying, oh, no, we're not getting in that area? And the only way you're going to know is if you ask people like us who've been here, or the locals, or in your Facebook groups. So I wanted to take you through the process of understanding everything that goes into looking, developing, creating, crafting a budget for you to live abroad. Now, I did a video with Kate out of Indonesia. Now, everything else I put on this budget list was pretty comparable, except for the rent. Her rent was about, she said, you can find nice place for $200-300. That is a steal. So if that's the place that's going to make it work for you, are you flexible enough to consider that place, or is it way too far? Because that is an option. That is a concern. For me, they say it's like a 3-day travel to and fro. That's a lot. So you may not be able to move to a place like that. Young people do it all the time, but we are seasoned. We're older. Please make the right decision for you. Don't get caught up in, oh, everything is gloom and doom, and they're going to be sending the dogs after us and blah, blah, blah. We don't know that. Don't keep feeding yourself the negativity. That's why I tell you to listen, watch different people's videos. Don't just listen to me. If you think I'm doom and gloom, I'm sorry. I'm just very practical. So don't listen to everybody else telling you to run, 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 rush, rush, get over here. And then when you're here by yourself and you can't pay the rent, nobody's going to save you, sis. And I don't think it's fair for people to expect us to save you because we've grown. We should be making our decision based on facts and what we can afford. And I hate to say it, not everybody can move abroad. I keep saying that. If your financial situation is such, you're going to have to reframe your mind. If you feel totally hopeless that unless you move somewhere, you're going to lose your mind, maybe go for a sabbatical. I suggested that before. Remove yourself from the situation. You would be surprised what a little bit of time away can do to reframe your mindset. Do that, sis. Have the flexibility to travel, take a short trip, take a sabbatical, go do some house sitting like Stephanie Perry suggested. It's not for everybody, but some people enjoy it. So I hope you're going to take this blueprint and then put your numbers in. Go on Encuentra 24 if you are gung-ho about coming to Panama. And don't just watch a video of an apartment and then say, okay, send me the lease. I'm going to sign it sight unseen. Do not do that because they really very rarely look exactly what the picture says because there's a lot for you to consideration. And again, Aisha has a video about checking a new apartment and it's very on point. I have no desire to do those type of videos, so I'm referring you to the people who do them well, okay? And you have options in the interior. Don't knock it. Don't just say, oh no, only the city will work for me. Are you flexible? Are you flexible? All right. This is another long video. Someone said that they enjoy the longer videos, and I hope you don't mind, but it's a lot to take into consideration. I wanted to answer your question as to what is the cost of living. People are always asking that question. But what I find too is that people ask, you tell them, and they still go and do their own thing. So I'm like, why are you asking me? Why are you asking me? I'm here, I'm telling you how it is, and you don't believe me. They'll say, oh, you just don't want us to come. All right, sis, go ahead and come. Do you? I'm just the messenger. I'm just here to give you information. All right, I'm going to have to stop right now because, I can go on for a while. I thank you so much for listening. I hope you found this information helpful in your decision-making process. Here, you can find an apartment from $700 all the way to like $3,000, $4,000 a month. It depends on what you can afford, how bougie you are, how big your budget is, and I am not knocking it. I'm not jealous if you're able to get an apartment, a penthouse for $4,000. I applaud you for that. Why should I be jealous? God has blessed you. You deserve it. Okay? All right. So I hope I can count on you to watch again next week. I'm not sure yet what the topic is going to be, but for now, I want to say God loves you. I love you. I love you. You love me. I see you next time. Au revoir. À la prochaine. Bye bye.